Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of MomBoss Maximizer. I hope everyone is doing well. So much is happening and I am so grateful. And I first want to start off by saying thank you to everyone that has been tuning in, listening, and watching on all the platforms and giving your feedback. Like, that's what I'm here for. That's what I need. And also just like to be able to share the episodes and share your thoughts and feelings and to ask questions. I'm here for it. Thank you so much. Trying to build this community, and it is a mix of moms, of high achieving women, of, just this is where I've been experiencing so much of this identity shift where I'm really trying to embrace it. And that's what we're talking about today, because what I'm hearing a lot from feedback from my small group coaching and unfiltered freedom, women who are reaching about the event Guts, Girls Using Their Strengths on March 23rd, is a lot about identity. And I want to get into this, especially before the event on March 23rd. So Guts. That is for Women's History Month. We are going to be benefiting for the YWCA, and a lot of women are reaching out to me and asking, is this event for me? It makes them feel uncomfortable, there's a lot of fear going into it, and that's completely normal. And there's a lot of fear that goes into identity, and that is all about our behaviors, our actions, our thoughts, our feelings. That's exactly what is happening in this transition of might feel very uncomfortable in whatever season that you're in. And this is where I really want to tap into this because of my own experience of what I've been experiencing in this identity shift. So it's super uncomfortable. That's just the truth. And for me, I have been in this identity shift probably for about a year and a half now. I mean, I'm not really putting a time stamp on it, but I want to get something out there straight up and tell you that there's no time limit, there's no destination, and there's no right or wrong when it comes to experiencing this shift, this transition of your thoughts, your values, your actions. The main thing that I'm going to get into is who to lean into and how to really embrace this and take all of the positives from this, because it's all about growth. This is where the magic happens during this identity shift. I've talked about it for a while, about this shift from Hit It with Brit, how that was my brand, that was my gym, and that was a big part of me. And since moving into the new facility, since stepping back from coaching on the floor, and now coaching in different facets of life, whether it be online coaching, one-on-one coaching. So this identity shift in my career, in my purpose, has been uncomfortable because it's also making other people feel uncomfortable. And that's what's going to happen too. Instead of really playing into other people's maybe judgments or perceptions of you, of us, of me, and having to explain yourself. This is where you take that bold action. This is where you do not play small, and you have to cultivate this confidence and where you are right now and where you want to be. So this is what we're going to get into, this identity shift. And I really want to support you on this because I have been experiencing it for quite some time and I'm still in it. And that's okay. So the one thing I want to, really get out there with you guys is that, if you're experiencing this, reach out to me. Or this resonates with me, share this episode, share this with somebody that that's experiencing or confused and doesn't know how to navigate through this shift. So let's first understand what identity shifts are. So we're going to define it. It is a change. And people resist change. We don't like change, but it's a change in your values, in your beliefs, and in your behaviors. That is growth. Okay. And so some common triggers when you're experiencing these identity shifts can be anything as a career change. It can be anything from becoming a mother, adding more to your family. It can be all, and just when you're on this path for personal growth, you start to really feel some type of shift and transition in your head, in your heart, in your gut. I know I talk about that triad a lot, but that's where they're all connected. And For example, I have a lot of women who are in this shift with their career and this 9 to 5, this constant hustle, but aren't fulfilled and are trying to seek something different. And when you're in this transition of working full time, but maybe having a side hustle, you start experiencing some shifts. Maybe the side hustle is something that you're finding more passion and seeing that like where you want to be in a year, in 2 years, maybe even 6 months. And it really gets you excited. It really gets you thinking. And it's like, how can I get to that point B? And that's all about who. And we're going to dive deeper into that. So other common triggers, we're talking about motherhood. Oh my goodness, I'm still in this transition. I went from being, a high performing educator running a school to a single parent within like a couple months to becoming a mom of 4 within a couple years. Like that transition is still really challenging. And the best thing for me with motherhood and being, like I've talked about in previous episodes, being a bonus mom, is leaning into support and finding support. So all these triggers can really get you into this new mindset, and we're going to get deeper into the mindset. So let's talk about some signs that you're ready for the next expansion. So signs that you're ready for this leveling up. Like some of these terms that you hear a lot, or if you follow for some inspiration, some accounts, some empowering women accounts. Like if you go to my account or the Guts account, like I am following all women that inspire me. I'm following accounts that are just constantly like empowering women, supporting women. So signs that you're ready for this next leveling up, to reach your potential, to maximize your strengths, hence MomBoss Maximizer, you have a clear vision of your goals. You have a clear vision of where you want to be. We're talking about where you are now to where you want to be. So that vision, that goals, we talked early in previous episodes as well about how to really like dig deep into that vision, how to find that vision, how to really get into that purpose and that why. When I had Bria and I became a single mom, that really that was like the catalyst to my growth. That was the catalyst to like, I know that I can give more and do more, and I have a bigger purpose now. I'm a single mother, and I want more for her because she deserves this, and I know I'm capable of that. So I already had this confidence within me, but I had lacked a lot of confidence because I was in that abusive relationship and put down so much. So when you are able to really get into a clear vision and set some goals, then that is a trigger. That is a point where you're ready to level up. Some other signs that you're ready for this next expansion is a desire for change. You just feel stagnant. You feel stuck. Like we hear that all the time. Do you feel stuck in your career? Do you feel stuck in your relationship? Do you feel stuck financially? Do you want to make more money? Do you want to feel more fulfilled? Do you want to be able to serve more people? Like whatever your gifts are, everyone has a unique gift. Everyone is here on this earth for something, and that is to make an impact, to serve people, whether it be through your products, your services. And it's not just business. This is in all careers. This is in everything. But like this is within you to find out what those strengths are. So if you are desiring change, it is ultimately up to you to really like reflect on this, process this, and that can really look in a lot of ways of how to like figure out what that change will be. Some other signs would be to like increased self-awareness. Okay, I really want to get deeper into self-awareness because identity shifts require massive amounts of self-awareness. And this past year, my business coach told me one thing that I have recognized so much about you. He gave me such an incredible compliment because we're hard on ourselves. Like we know, we're our own worst critic. Was the best compliment he said to me was like, your self-awareness has gone from here to here. And that's because I've been really putting time into it, whether it be taking some assessments that I've talked about between the Strength Finder, between the Enneagram, and to dial in those. You can't just take these assessments or these resources and say, hey, these are my strengths, and hey, I'm an Enneagram 3, so what does that mean? Like, you have to be able to then, once you get this information about yourself, this is self-awareness, is to be able to apply it, and to be able to take action. And how does that look? For example, in previous episodes, I'm gonna keep going back because this is all aligned right here. So we did the be, do, have exercise with Relly on a previous episode. I did it with my team. I did it with my small group coaching. I did it with a bunch of women. And it's really about stepping into this new version of yourself, of, again, where you are now to where you wanna be. So the old Brit, my old way of being was Blizzard Brit, like just like not present, cold, going from one thing to another thing, and burnt out. And this blizzard, think of a blizzard just like passes through, is cold, and is just like, it's just like going quick, not stopping, not resting. My new way of being, of what I want to be and where I want to be, is blissful. Blissful is that term, is elevated even higher than like happy and joyful and peaceful. Blissful encompasses all those terms. Like, I want peace, I want calmness, but I also want that ambition still. So I know in order to get there, I got to take action in between. So that requires a lot of self-awareness. So I know as an Enneagram 3 that success and achievement is very important for me, but that's not going to just make me worthy. So a lot of things that I've struggled on is my worthiness, and have to always be working to feel worthy. And that is not the case. So a lot of things that I've been now applying since really digging deep into self-awareness and using these resources and the help with my mentors and the help with my team. I mean, I'll even ask Relly questions like, what is it like for you to work for me? What is it like? How do I act? How do I behave? How can I be better? Like, that's self-awareness, is that if you're able to take that constructive criticism and that feedback from your family, your friends, your colleagues, especially people you work around, is that right there is when you know you're on to the next level of personal growth. So some more signs that you're ready for this this leveling up is that capacity to adapt, that capacity of resilience. A lot of people that have been in my circle that I am so inspired by, they have overcome a lot of hardship and fought through adversity. And I've seen and I've witnessed and I've experienced firsthand myself that resilience, but the ones who are like surrounding me, like, that's who I want to be around, because I know that ambition, that ambitious mindset and the behaviors and their actions that they're going to take. Seeing people, this is why I love this platform, MomBoss Maximizer. And this is another reason why I've had this identity shift, because for me, not everything is just health and wellness. For me, not everything was just hit it with grit and power. There's so much more to life. And that's where I wanted to just be able to, voice it and to be able to give it. And I've been able to connect with so many women, and for them to be able to tell me their stories. I mean, from Gina Tronco, who was on here, from Lauren Tronco, the first one from the YWCA. We just had Lauren Mullen. I mean, to hear her story, the stories of the resilience, and then hearing how they leveled up in their expansion. Look where they are at because they experienced these and they overcame these obstacles. That is resilience. Like, that is empowering. So that's another sign that you're ready and that you have you can overcome, and that you've really ingrained this resilience in yourself. And then another sign is that your willingness to learn, that you're open and ready to receive, whether it be information to absorb it, but also to apply it. So if you're ready to learn, and that can look from podcasts, from books, and especially from other people, that is a sign that you are ready for this next level. So when we're exploring the importance of recognizing these signs, we want to embrace these as opportunities, these signs. So what are they doing? They are maximizing your potential. Hello, this is MomBoss Maximizer. That's like my tagline. Maximize your potential. What is that potential? And it goes by self-awareness, by learning. This is also an opportunity for you to increase your resilience, we just spoke about. And the last two things, fulfillment and cultivating confidence. Like that fulfillment, everyone wants to feel fulfilled in what they're doing and how they're doing it and who they're doing it for. And then that cultivating self-confidence, like that's everything. And, I have voiced that I have a lot of confidence, but I also experience a lot of imposter syndrome. And because of this identity shift, like, am I good enough to be being a business coach? Am I good enough to be forming together another community, not just a gym community, because that came easy to me? Like the things that come easy to you, that's great. But when are you going to do something that's hard? When are you going to step outside that comfort zone? When are you going to say yes to this new opportunity that's going to make you grow? That is where the magic happens. So when you're experiencing this new level of confidence, really just think about what you can do and say those affirmations. Those affirmations are everything right there. So the next steps to get to from where you are to where you want to be, let's talk about these actionable steps, because that's like the hardest thing. That's the hardest thing that I'm experiencing. That's the hardest thing that I have witnessed with a lot of my clients, with a lot of people in my circle, in my community, is we can absorb all this information, we can be self-aware, but it's about taking action. And it's about how to apply them. And what does that look like? So when we're talking about taking these steps between that gap of where you are to where you want to be, we talk about that bridge, right? When you're on that bridge, when you're building that bridge, what are those steps that you can take during this identity shift? So first is defining what that future state is. So for example, for me, I knew that going from business owner, from gym owner to business and empowerment coach and podcast host was going to require a lot of action that made me feel very uncomfortable. So what does that look like as a business coach? Britt, what do you want to do with that? Do you want to do one-on-one coaching? Do you want to do small group coaching? Do you want to create an online course? There's so many things that we can do as individuals when we're in this identity shift. So, and this can look even in relationships. Say you're in this relationship that you're not happy, but you're staying in it because you see potential, because you have the belief that people can change. Yes, absolutely. So what are you going to do during that time? I'll give an example, a very personal example, which he probably would be a little frustrated with me right now, but we're going to get into it. Joe's identity was football. So my partner, Joe, he was football his whole life, from when he was a child to when he was 40 years old, from playing professional football, being in the NFL and college, NFL. I mean, you name it, that is someone's identity for so long. We hear this, you can see this with a lot of athletes. And then when they hang up the flag and they retire, what's next? And seeing this identity shift and being patient as a partner in my relationship. But I also am so understanding because I'm experiencing it too. But I'm also at this very high level of awareness because I'm doing this every day with personal growth, that I don't want to be that annoying, naggy partner to be like, oh, let's talk about your core values and let's do just pushing this growth on him and this self-awareness. It has to come on your time. So I'm talking about relationships, some actionable steps that Joe and I have taken because we're both in identity shifts. More so Joe I was talking about the gym being hit with Britt for 6 years. This was his whole life. I mean, this is where you need someone else to be telling you that. If you're experiencing this with your partner, it's very hard telling it to each other. So what do? We got therapists. Hell yeah. I'm all for it. We love our new therapist. We had an Enneagram therapist, and then we have a new one virtually. I freaking love her. But I know, like I see it because I'm at like just a different level because I've been doing it longer and I absorb more and and women are much different from men. So, and that's okay. So when we're talking about, in relationships, it's not just career. This identity shift can be in many, many aspects of your life. So when we're talking about defining your future state and assessing your current state. What does that look like? What does your current state look like right now? From your health? I mean, I could talk about health forever. And right now, like my health is not great right now. And where do I want it to be? I know I have to take those steps in between. I want to go to Synergy up in, we have Jennifer Goldstock, who's going to be a speaker here on stage at Guts. And she is the founder of Synergy Integrative. And it's all about hormones. I'm like, I need to learn more about this because what the hell's going on in my body? So I reached out to her personally. I actually got her number through Gina Tronco. Like I have no shame of reaching out, asking for help because that is the only way I've gotten here to this day. Is asking for help. What's the worst that can happen when you reach out to someone to ask? I have women who reach out to me about how do you build a gym? Where did you start? I'm like, good, ask me because I didn't know who to talk to. So think about those, and we're talking about those gaps, all right? So assessing your current, or defining your future state, assessing your current state, setting those SMART goals. I know it sounds cliche, but it's extremely helpful to see it. Creating those vision boards. I do this with my team every single year, and then we just assessed it from 2023. That vision board is everything. We do year vision boards, and I have it on the background of my phone, so I see it every day. And when I tell you, in this past year, this identity shift was such a struggle for me because it's been a year ago this month, I was ready. I was just like, I'm embracing it. I don't feel guilty anymore to step into this new me, this new version of me. And I remember I was at Relly's wedding and I came back, and that's when we unexpectedly got the kids. And I'm like, okay, this is a great thing. In my mind, I'm like, we're fortunate, we're grateful, but I also struggled internally. And I'm going to say this out loud. And I'm not feeling guilty about it because this was my own feeling. I knew during this time of not having 2 other kids, I was going to put more focus and time into me and to Joe and I and to my other 2. Obviously, like some things happen that are not in our control. So that happened and I'm like, okay, we're shifting back to bonus mom again. And then I tore my Achilles. So like all these things happened in 1 month, a year ago, this month, that really shifted my identity again. I'm like, what is this telling me? So instead, when I'm looking at that vision board, I created that vision board a year ago. And as much as I keep saying like, I did not do this, but I did so much. Celebrate those wins. This is what we have to do when we're trying to get to that point B from point A, is celebrate those small things. Right here, I started the MomBoss Maximizer in the midst of like craziness. I partnered with Karina and Sarah with Unfiltered Freedom and started online coaching. Wow, like that is a win. That is huge. We got to celebrate that. I have connected with so many more women because I kept looking at that vision board and I'm like, I am going to do this. I'm manifesting this. So when you're creating that vision board, it's holding you accountable. And it's also when you're doing it with other people, you're holding each other accountable. So I love going into our break room and seeing my team's vision boards. And I'm like, okay, so, I have Ra on there and she put up, I'm going to put it right out there. She put up like a new house and kids. And I'm like, is that going to happen for 2024? Well, we're going to see it. And I'm going to ask her those questions. Well, how are you feeling with that? What's going on with the house, or what's going on with potentially growing your family? And then other strategies to help you to get those steps to help to get you to where you are. Like I say all the time, is investing in a mentor, investing in a coach. I invested in Mommy Millionaire through Kayla Craft. I was on her podcast in October, and it has been a year mastermind, and it's like a break. It's a pause in my day to be with other like-minded women, to gain some wisdom and some confidence, because we're not alone in this in this path towards wanting to level up and to do more and to be more. All right. So when you're in this transition, all right, you really got to think about like the concept of it and why you want to get there. And for me, I wasn't feeling aligned. So something was missing. And I knew like, this is where the feeling felt very uncomfortable. Why wasn't I feeling aligned? And ask yourself like where you're at with your career, your health, your relationships, and your time. So my unalignment was in my own control. So when we're talking about like, if something is missing, for example, I lost a lot of I wasn't with a lot of women in this past year. Already in 2024, I have went to a conference. I have been doing more because I set those intentions and I knew I needed to be aligned with more women that think like me, that act like me, and that want more like me. And that alignment has really supported this transition and this identity shift. When I went to the Girlfriends in Business workshop in Scottsdale with Lori Hodder. And I'm going to put another episode out on reflecting on that. And it was the first time in so long, that I felt so aligned. I felt like myself. I felt supported. I was in a room with 75 women who all just wanted to celebrate each other and who all wanted the most and the best for each other. And we all just met, like we all introduced ourselves individually and we all exchanged our Instagrams and our businesses and our podcasts. I even have one, Claude, who is coming to be a speaker on a stage at Guts. Like when I heard her speak at the Girlfriends in Business workshop, I was just like, oh my God, I need her in my life. She needs to come to Guts. Would she fly across country from Las Vegas to speak and give her gifts and her energy and share her story? Because her story is so incredible. And I haven't even gotten the half of it, but she's coming on the podcast. But that right there, see, this is where I'm like going from one thing to another thing. Where I was going with this is the alignment, because I felt so aligned with her. I felt so aligned with so many women. And this is what I want for Guts too, because you don't know what you're going to expect until you say yes and put yourself in the room with those people and align with those people that you need to lock arms with and just really embrace that feeling. So this is all about mindset shift. Everything that you're experiencing when you're leveling up and you're going through this identity shift, I know it's uncomfortable, and it is like a roller coaster of emotions, just like we talk about businesses. But when you're embracing this growth mindset and you're cultivating this new confidence and this compassion for yourself, it's going to make others potentially feel uncomfortable as well. Stay grounded. And when you feel uncomfortable, really understand, like reflect on it. This is another strategy, like journal it. I've been struggling with my journaling. So what I do is I open my phone and I just talk in my phone. And so I can go back to that or just get those feelings out. And this is what I have the podcast for too, because I am experiencing the same as you and I need to get it out because I can't give my therapist 45 minutes of myself. So I'm like, I just have to use this podcast as therapy as well. Right. So when we're talking about these mindset shifts, what we're like, the other thing that is really needed and to be understood is that this takes a lot of bold understanding and bold action and being brave. That is what I'm loving, seeing so women, and it is contagious. And that's the influence that I want to give. That's the influence that I've been given from other women. So like when I was experiencing this shift a year ago, I started seeking other women that I want to be. I would start seeking other women that are inspiring me so much that I just that is the content that I'm looking at. That is the content that I want to absorb. That's the content that I'm also listening to and watching because I want more time freedom. I want to go on vacation with my kids and take my calls from the beach I want to, that is, and what I've experienced too is that for me, the internal struggle is the women that really inspire me that don't have kids. And this is no disrespect. This is me just saying what I've been feeling is that like, wow, I need more women to be inspired by who have children, because not saying it's easier, it's just a different beast. And that's why I've called this MomBoss Maximizer, because when you are a mom, that hat needs to take priority. And how do we shift these priorities? And this is why I'm going to have another episode on balance. Fuck balance. There's no such thing as balance. So when you're finding those inspirations, that's why I went to Kayla Craft. Kayla Craft, she rebranded her business, Mommy Millionaire, to Crafted Entrepreneur. And she's got 3 children, and she's around the same age as me. And I've seen what she's done, and she is such an inspiration to me. So that's why I locked arms with her, invested in her mentorship, in her mastermind. And what do you know? She brought me on her podcast and opened up these opportunities for more things. So that is another thing that I would give to you as a strategy of when you're in this identity shift, to find those people that you aspire to be, that influence you, that inspire you. So when we're talking about this identity shift, I started with, it's all about your beliefs, your actions, and your thoughts. It's all about those habits. And where does your current identity right now not match to where you want to be? I'm going to say that again. Where does your current identity right now not match to where you want to be? And then once you start really tapping into that and starting looking at those habits, so if you're talking about maybe your health, you want to lose weight, I'm just going to use something very simple. And I'm not like a huge fan of just saying that one, but it's just really quick. Like, are you going to the gym? Are you getting up early in the morning? How are you doing it? What are those habits that you've created? How are you eating? Are you eating, what does that nutrition plan look like? So all of these habits that you've developed over time that become patterns that you might have to break, a lot of patterns you have to break. And it's not always going to be like this. Some of those habits you fall off, but how do we get back on? And that's through accountability. That's through investing in someone. That's those people to help you, finding a community, right? It's all about that self-awareness. It goes back to self-awareness. Everything when you're in this shift is about self-awareness. I've discussed how, when you're an Enneagram and you tap into that and you see those unhealthy traits and those unhealthy habits, how to break those. That's another thing that I just want to have I need to bring someone on here. I actually reached out to a few Enneagram people and have an episode on that, because I am so fascinated by each person in my life that has experienced that. So we're going to do that. So when we're changing these habits, one thing I want to say to you before we end this is stay true to who you are. It's all about authenticity. That authentic, I know that's the word of the day, that's the word of the year, is being authentic. That is when you start to really feel yourself. And when I record a podcast on what I'm leaving behind in 2023, one of those things with blurry boundaries and staying true to that and being authentic of that, a lot of that was my personal stuff, but also my professional stuff, and not always having to please people. That authenticity comes out when you're not letting others' judgments and perceptions affect you, and you continue to be you, girl. That's it. You staying in your lane, looking through that windshield, right? We're not looking at that rear view mirror, and you being you, what makes you feel really good. It's uncomfortable, but when it comes out, you're just wow, I could just, that saying, dance like nobody's watching. That's the feeling you get when you really start to tap into into your potential and tap into who you want to be. So with that, I hope this gave you some insight, because I am experiencing a few women that have been reaching out to me who want to attend Guts and are so afraid, who are fearing of, is this right for me? Do I need this? Do I want this? I'm going to be so uncomfortable. What am I going to gain for all these questions I'm getting? And it's all about identity. It's about self-awareness. So I would say for those of you that are experiencing this, first thing, self-awareness. First, and the next thing, like, reach out to me. How can I help you? That's what I'm here for. So I hope this helped you, gave you some little nuggets of wisdom, and this is all about maximizing your potential. You have it. You have these unique gifts that no one else has. You have to bet on yourself. That's what I loved when Catherine came on this podcast, and she's like, I am always going to bet on myself. Like, I'm my own best ticket to what's next. So you need to have that mindset. Start with these affirmations, here to help you. Have a wonderful rest of your night, and stay tuned for the next episode.